Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. The term legend is used to describe tons of artists these days, whether they deserve it or not. But if we had to limit that title to just 10 musicians, the legendary Ken Boothe would definitely make the list. An elite vocalist and artist who is no doubt among the top crooners in reggae history, the possessor of a crisp, emotive golden voice that is impossible to replicate. I always say that there are only 3 Jamaican all-time great singers that could have easily been global superstars if they had chosen careers in the soul, R&B, or even pop genres. The first of these is Dennis Brown, the second, Toots Hibbert, and of course, Mr. Rocksteady himself. This man belongs to the exclusive club of the musical titans of Jamaican music, who were there at the very beginning of the island's entertainment industry, and by sheer talent, grind and consistency took that island sound to the 4 corners of the globe. He's credited with being one of the first reggae artists to achieve a #1 hit in the international charts when his song Everything I Own swept across Europe in 1974, topping the charts in countries like the UK and Ireland. Besides his powerful and passionate voice, which has earned him numerous nicknames like Mr. Smooth, the Voice of Choice, or Mr. Rocksteady, he's also known as Mr. Shoes, not only a spin of his last name Boothe, but his energetic and sublime dance moves. We've seen plenty of reggae artists move their feet on stage, but this cat is in a stratosphere of his own. Not many singers can brag of having the Wailers as backup singers on their first hit record, literally redefining what it means to be a reggae vocalist and enjoying a stupendously long 5-decade career. There's so much to say about this icon, so without further ado, let's take a look at the incomparable Ken Boothe. He was born on March 22nd, 1948 in the tough ghetto known as Denham Town in Kingston. While some win the genetics lottery of physicality and become once-in-a-lifetime athletes, Kenneth George Boothe won a genetics lottery that saw him born into a musically inclined family, with a mother and older sister who were gifted singers. And he also grew up around youngsters with talent, like his neighbor, schoolmate and family friend, Bonnie Wailer. As a kid, he showed a glimpse of what was to come when he won first prize in a talent contest at just 8 years old, and by his early teens had begun to moonlight with an outfit called Sir Percy Sound System that was very close to his home, where he became friendly with an older youth called Stranger Cole, who was already a fast-rising star. The pair became quite close and formed a duo called Stranger and Ken. It was indeed Stranger Cole who arranged an audition for young Ken at Duke Reed Studios in 1963. And together they would score breakout hits like World's Fair and Artibella, which Ken was inspired to write after listening to an Indian show on radio. The pair soon moved to Duke Reed's rival in Coxsone Dodd and kept cranking out hits over the next 3 years, until the producer encouraged Ken to try his hands on a solo career in 1966. He would repay Dodd's confidence with the hit song Train Is Coming, a smash hit that was among the first Rocksteady tracks ever recorded, and had backup vocals from Studio One's then artists like the Gay Lads and the Wailers. The next year, he released his debut album, Mr. Rocksteady, which was literally loaded with hit song after hit song, including my favorite, In Puppet on a String. He was the original Gal Dem Sugar, apologies to Beanie Man, whose voice made the ladies go weak in the knees, and soon became known as Jamaica's answer to American soul crooner Wilson Pickett. He would record for Studio One up until 1970, when he began to try his hands with other producers like Sonia Pottinger, before pitching his tent with Leslie Kong of Beverly's Records, where he scored another massive hit and conscious anthem with Freedom Street in 1971, an inspirational masterpiece that brought out a tremendous vocal display from this icon, right up there with the very best performances that a Wilson Pickett or Otis Redding could ever have done. Unfortunately, the amazing chemistry that he had with Kong came to an abrupt end when that producer died suddenly a few months later from heart failure. He would start freelancing again with various producers for the next 3 years, until he hooked up with Lloyd Chalmers. By that time, he was signed to UK label Trojan Records, as his music was then popular among reggae fans in Britain. After a promotional tour of England for his album Black, Gold and Green, he went into the studio with Chalmers to record the 10 songs for his new album. After laying vocals for 9 tracks, Ken would decide to complete it with a cover of a minor hit from an American rock band named Bread that was called Everything I Own. That single took off like a rocket in Britain and went to #1 in that country's charts, staying up there for 3 weeks, and also charted in Ireland, also peaking at number 1 and also staying up there for 3 weeks. He was flown into the UK to perform that song on legendary BBC music show Top of the Pops, where he was backed by British reggae band The Cimarrons. And for that performance, he was forced to wear a glittery, tight-fitting 70s style rockstar costume, which he hated to no end, but still managed to wear and perform in anyway. The next single, Crying Over You, was also a big hit in that country and reached number 11 on the UK charts. Ken Boothe's momentum on the international stage was firing on all cylinders when Trojan Records collapsed from bankruptcy in 1975. He would record for various producers and labels up until the end of the 1970s, including Bob Marley's Top Gun label, for whom he would record Reggae for Lovers. Not flops by any standard, but the momentum from his Trojan days had greatly slowed down. Even when Trojan Records came back into business in 1979 and released his next album in that same year, it didn't make much difference. By the 1980s, Jamaican music was in its fourth age of evolution, with dancehall as the reigning sound, and there was a whole new generation to face. He still scored a few hits, recording for the new wave of producers like Sly and Robbie and Henry John Joe Laws, even putting out 2 albums like Image in 1986 and Don't You Know for Tapazoki in 1988. By then, he was no longer the hit machine that he had been in the 60s and 70s, but instead then an elder statesman and legend whose influence was palpable in pop culture. Like in 1987, when ex-Culture Club lead singer Boy George also released a reggae version of Everything I Own, which reached number 1 on the UK singles charts and stayed there for 2 weeks. And even up into the 90s, dancehall superstar Shaggy would feature him on a remake of a song Train Is Coming in 1995 off his smash hit album Boombastic. His heavy rotational play on MTV brought Ken Boothe into the consciousness of a fresh generation of teenagers. The song even featured on the soundtrack of the action comedy from Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson called Money Train. Also, UB40 would cover it for their album Labor of Love Volume 3 that came out in 1998. And one amazing thing about Ken Boothe is how consistent he's been on the touring circuit and also in the studio, as he's released an incredible 23 albums in his sparkling career, with the most recent being Old Fashioned Ways that came out in 2025. He was awarded the Jamaican Order of Distinction in 2003 for his contributions to the island's music, and despite poor health, he's continued to churn out age-defying performances in reggae festivals and shows around the world. These days, he doesn't dance as much anymore, as in his own words, he danced away his ligaments in both legs long time ago, but his vocal performances are still as mesmerizing and gripping as it was when he was in his 20s. In March 2026, he was officially inducted into the Jamaican Hall of Fame, and though he had to be brought in on a wheelchair, he still rocked the house when he sang a few notes to the audience. I'm so glad that this living legend is getting his flowers while he's still here. A musical titan and one of the greatest singers to emerge from Jamaica, and indeed all time across all genres. One of the first to bag a reggae number 1 and an all-round beautiful soul, and I wouldn't be surprised if the voice of choice, aka Mr. Rocksteady, in the great Ken Boothe, blesses our eardrums again very soon. So there you have it. Thank you for watching this video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.